Yes. Welcome YouTube Live. It's so fun to be here. Happy Wednesday. It is the first Wednesday of December. And we are using today's live to explore the theme of ceremony. All month, we're going to be exploring what it looks like to integrate ceremony into your day-to-day. And so this live is just going to be the first of 4 lives over the course of the month to talk about the power of ritual, the power of ceremony. It's the perfect time to do it because of the holidays, because of the turning of the new year, the turning of the decade. One of the things that I'm really excited about is to not wait until the 31st to be thinking about this, but instead to use the entire month of December to really ground in your vision for the future, to clean up and close out anything that is incomplete, that wants attention in December, so that you go into 2020 really clean and clear. So just like sink in, rest in. It's going to be a really, really fun month of lives. And I want to just start by welcoming you guys to let me know where you are, where are you tuning in from, and your favorite ceremony, your favorite ritual. What's the experience that you've had with ceremony or ritual that has been the juiciest? And as you guys post that in the chat, whether you're live or watching the replay, I will share with you the reason that this is on my mind. Partly, it's the season, right? 'Tis the season for this kind of reflection. But it actually started a little over a month ago when 2 of my clients asked me to participate in creating a covenant. And I was like, what's a covenant? Like, I don't know what this means, I was actually really uncomfortable because I felt like I was having to say yes or no to something that I didn't understand. So I asked them a bunch of questions. The truth is that when they showed up at my house, I was like, it's still kind of like, I don't really know what we're doing here, but I love these 2 women. They're business partners. I want to support them. Let's see what this looks like. We spent an hour together and we co-created a ritual to honor their commitment to one another, to honor their values in the relationship. So not just we're going to be committed as business partners, but this is how we're going to show up for each other. This is what we're going to do day to day. This is what we're going to do when things are hard. This is what we're going to do when things are really successful. And we included the ocean. We walked out there to the beach and touched the water, and like they said some kind of vows to one another. And it was just so beautiful. It changed my whole day. And then the reflection on it changed my whole month. It was simple. It was like pretty like tiny. We spent an hour together. It wasn't like a big time commitment. It was just the 3 of us and one of my clients' puppies. It wasn't a big event, but it was incredibly potent. And it helped me remember why ritual and ceremony is so important. And, frankly, like why it's so absent. There's not a lot of ceremony in our culture. So you can't rely on the holidays even to bring ritual and ceremony into your life. You have to really choose it. So here are 3 principles that I think make a ceremony a good ceremony. The first is that you have a hand in creating it. It's like you own it. It belongs to you. It's a reflection of your preferences and your choices. And this is true whether you're planning a wedding or you're celebrating a new client or you are beginning a new friendship, starting a new business. There's really fun to craft ceremony and ritual around the beginnings of things. You can also do this for the endings of things, whether it's a funeral or the closing of a relationship or the closing of a coaching contract or the closing of a home or a business. So, and then of course there are milestones in between, but whatever it is that you're creating ceremony around, when you have a hand in actually making it, it's going to be better, guaranteed. It's going to be more meaningful, going to be more memorable, going to be more powerful, going to be more potent for you because you created it. The second thing is that it has meaning. And this doesn't have to be a particularly heavy meaning, but just that it has meaning. So in the ceremony that my clients and I created together, it was meaningful to them because the relationship between them was meaningful. And then each part of the ritual, of the ceremony that we made, was meaningful, right? So they chose to go out to the ocean. They chose to include me. They chose to talk about some of the things first. They chose to write down some commitments to one another. And each one of those choices mattered to them, had meaning and significance to them. So not only did they create it, but they based each of their choices on something that mattered. They brought a crystal. They called this thing a covenant. So they brought a little box that looks kind of like the Ark of the Covenant, you know, to like put the vows and the crystal inside, and I keep it on my altar. So every time I look at it, I think about them. I think about their commitment to each other. So there's also like the creation of that totem, or the visual signature to remind you like this thing happened. And so that's the third principle that I came up with after having this experience, is that it's memorable. So you want a ceremony to be different enough from your day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience that it stands out. So, and you can do that in a variety of ways. You know, you could dress up in all hot pink clothing and make it memorable. You could create some kind of like totem to make it memorable and bring that like through the ceremony. You know, you're creating this. Having a witness, I think, is a really significant component of that. So again, 3 principles for creating a good ceremony. You create it, you own it. You can totally steal from other people's fantastic ceremonies, but you are the one with ownership. You're not just following someone else's direction, right? Like Black Friday is an American ceremony, but it doesn't have any value to me personally because I had no hand in creating it. That's my experience anyway. I'm like, I want to avoid Black Friday at all costs. So that's not my ceremony. But for a lot of people, you know, they go through it, but it's not a meaningful one because they don't own it. So that's the first thing. You create it. Second, it has meaning for you. Each of the elements that you bring in, each of the people that you bring in, each of the words that come in, each of the actions that come in, they have meaning, they have significance. And the third is that you create it in a way that will be memorable for you. Whether that means having the experience itself stand out so much, or having some evidence of the ceremony that helps you remember. Any questions about that? It's super, super simple, but I wanted to highlight that because actually let's go deeper with this, because I think that looking at what makes a good ceremony can help you also evaluate where there's already powerful ceremony in your life. For me, participating in this very small, simple ritual with my clients for their covenant helped me understand why weddings tend to be more impactful, you could say, than New Year's Eve resolutions. So if you think about like the trend with New Year's resolutions is that they almost have no impact or value at all. They are a ceremonial ritual. Like people they make New Year's resolutions religiously every year, and then almost as religiously completely forget that was a commitment that they made. So why? They might have created the decision, the new resolution, but they didn't create a ritual around it. They didn't own it. They didn't make an altar and offer their commitments to witnesses that would hold them accountable. They maybe wrote it down and then forgot about it in their journal, right? So a New Year's resolution could work if you created a ceremony around it that made it yours, that gave it deep meaning, and that made it memorable so that you would remember. That's the thing. People forget that they've even made the commitment. With a wedding, now, of course, weddings are not a guaranteed long-lasting thing, but they are more long-lasting, generally speaking, than New Year's resolutions. You can see that most weddings have at least a part that has been created by the people getting married. If not, you know, the people that get in the extreme, the people that get invited, the vows that they say, the clothing that they wear, the rings that they exchange, the priest or you know, guru or whoever it is that leads the ceremony, like all those choices allow the two people who are creating the ceremony to really own it, to make it theirs. All those choices have meaning. We are better prepared to create meaning when we're planning a wedding. But those principles are the same thing that make any good ceremony effective. And then weddings tend to be memorable because, you know, you have a good photographer come take some pictures or create a wedding video. You wear a wedding band that literally, like, I look at my finger and remember that I'm married every day, multiple times a day. It impacts me because I see that reminder every moment. I don't ever forget that I made this commitment to my husband. Whereas I couldn't tell you what my New Year's resolutions were in 2014. I have no idea. I might be able to go back and look, but if it's not like right in front of you, you're gonna forget. So again, when you think about things that want ceremony or ritual in your business, these are the three elements that you want to hold to, that you're going to create it, you're going to own it, you're going to make the ritual yourself. You're going to make choices that make that ritual meaningful. You're going to bring in people that make it meaningful. You're going to do writing or speaking or singing that makes it meaningful. And then you're going to create some kind of tangible, memorable item that helps you reconnect. It could be as simple as having the commitment written on the wall, or an image, right? Like, I don't know if you can see this image of Krishna, right? I see it every time I'm here, and you guys probably see it every time we're here too, right? That helps me just remember, like, oh yeah, I love Krishna. I love seeing his face. These crystals all remind me of different things. So like my whole altar is a constant ceremony. So these are the things that you're wanting. And I want to hear more from Vanessa. You just asked, why do I want it to be memorable? The experience, the ceremony? The power of ceremony, I mean, just think about it. Like, I think that the New Year's resolution and the wedding is the perfect both example and counterexample. Why do we want a wedding to be memorable? Why do we even do weddings? Because making a commitment to live your life in devotion to another human being is a big deal. And if it isn't celebrated, made a big thing of, whether that means, you know, my wedding, there were 4 people and my husband. It wasn't a big wedding in that way, but it was a big deal for us. If we didn't do that ceremony, there would not be that marker that, like, oh, now things are different in our relationship. Our level of commitment to each other is different. Our intention for what we're going to experience in our lives together has changed. Because we created our wedding ceremony, had witnesses, chose elements that were meaningful to us. We did some kirtan, we had some prayers, we had some words spoken, we said some vows to each other. I don't remember all the words that I said, but I remember the feeling of that moment. I will never forget that moment, unless I get dementia, right? Like if my memory goes, that's a different thing. But as long as I have memory, I will remember my wedding day as long as I live. And I want that because it's a really important day. It's a really important moment in my life, and it signifies the beginning and the continuation of a relationship that really, really matters to me, that I want to show up in a very particular way. So I understand your question, Vanessa. It's really important to, I think, explore this. Like, what do you want ceremony around your business to look like? It's totally up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to create ceremony about, but just to invite you to explore and have fun with different kinds of ceremonies that you can bring into your business to amplify their impact on your life, your clients, and your business. So, and that this is a good time. You can like just relax and kind of take in the ideas that I'm bringing to you today and let them percolate. Because there's going to be more every single week this month. That's the whole theme. So what would you want to have ceremony? Like, that's why I ask you guys, where have you experienced ceremony that felt really juicy to you? What kinds of ceremonies do you enjoy? Why do you enjoy them? What are the features of those ceremonies that have been powerful for you? So, and I'll just give you a couple of guiding questions on this. So, like, part of my invitation for you over the next month is to consider how you will create ceremony in your business in 2020. What do you want to celebrate? Whatever it is that you want to celebrate, that deserves a ritual, a ceremony. What do you want to create routine around? Because those routines are like small ceremonies, you know? So what do you want to celebrate, ceremonialize, or ritualize in your business? For me, there's a couple of things. So I'll just share that with you just to see if that sparks your attention, gives you some ideas. So one of the things that I want is to bring more ceremony into my work with my clients. I am initiating people into the money path, into their own mastery, into connection with God at a deeper level, into their capacity to channel. And these are things that it's like, if we don't mark them, we kind of miss them. If we don't mark, oh yeah, that initiation happened, and now I am masterful at sales, money, channeling in this particular way, helping people at this level. We just miss that change happened. In exactly the same way that I would miss that Shri and I got married if we hadn't had a ceremony around it. Like, that's the interesting thing, is that ceremony is both a cause and an effect. You can create a ceremony because you know that a thing is changing in your business or your life and you want to mark that change. But you can also create more change when you have ceremony. So, and the ceremonies can be tiny. Like when people come over, when I have clients come over for a VIP day, I will do a ritual to welcome them into the space. I create the whole space with crystals and books and tools and markers and various things that we need for the day, just for them. My house is set up completely differently when I have a VIP day than other times. And that process is its own kind of ceremony, its own kind of ritual. Then they come into my house and I often smudge them, right? I bring out sage and a feather or whatever and welcome them in. We'll do a meditation where I welcome them in, all parts of them, all their guides, all my guides, right? Like we do all that ceremony helps them enter in a different way. Why? Because there's more, because I created it. I'm owning the space. I'm owning the container because there's meaning in every choice that I'm making. And because I'm making it memorable. Ownership, meaning, memorable. Those are the three elements that I'm looking for. So yes. So I also am thinking very deeply about what I am going to commit to for 2020. The truth is I've been thinking about it for the last 6 months because I'm running this program with my husband that's going to guide people through a 2020 mastermind. So it's been a critical thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm super grateful that I've been thinking about it for so long because I actually feel like I can step into 2020 with some very concrete and clear visions, not just dreams that I'm having fun dreaming, but real commitments. Like, this is how I'm going to step into 2020. And I just know for myself that it's easy for me to say that. It's even easy for me to say it to y'all. I'm going to step up my devotion. I'm going to step up my impact, and I'm going to step up my prosperity. But like, so what? People say stuff like that all the time, and it doesn't mean anything. So how am I going to actually make that real? Well, I'm going to do all the things that I usually do that you know about, right? I'm going to put a strategy in place. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do all that stuff. But in order to amplify the possibility of that being realized as efficiently, effectively, and gracefully as possible, I'm going to add in ceremony because I want that extra oomph. I want to remember that devotion, impact, and prosperity are my vision for 2020 all year. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to make those words something that I think about and reflect on and claim every single day? That's and I am in development on that. So I'll keep you posted. So for you, How do you want to create ceremony in your business in 2020? What do you want to celebrate, ceremonialize, or ritualize? What elements of your business or your life do you want to bring more ceremony to? It could be as simple as saying grace before you eat to bring more consciousness to your meal. It could be crafting a self-care ritual every morning that includes meditation or loving touch or some breath work, right? There's all kinds of things you can do. So I'm not even scratching the surface. These are just little dots. What structures or routines that are already in your business would benefit from more ceremony, right? So where do you already have, like, let's say you have a team meeting with your team every week. There's already a regularity built in there, but you could make it just a little bit more ceremonial. Sales, right? What are your rituals around sales? Who puts prayer in their business strategy? We do here at Jesse Johnson Coaching. Everyone on my team is on board for this. We all do it differently, but we all include God in our work day in, day out. So when we begin when I have a sales conversation, before I get into that sales conversation, I connect with my guides, I connect with my intention. I have a ritual, a ceremony for entering that sales conversation. And the way that I teach sales actually facilitates this same thing, that you can create a ceremony that is embedded in every sales conversation you have, that your sales process is a ceremony. You don't have to just go off for an Aya journey to have ceremony. You can bring ceremony into every aspect of your life. You can make every aspect of your life and business sacred. That is the power of ceremony. And it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be super serious. It can be really playful. It can be really fun. And you don't have to do it for everything. But I really invite you to consider where in your business might things benefit from more ritual, more ceremony. And the last idea that I'll throw out there is about payment and contract signing. So like when you begin a new contract with a new client, how can you make that experience even more ceremonial so that they experience, oh, a change has happened? Very similar to a wedding. You know, we live in a culture where there's just not that much ritual. There's just not that much. And the ritual that's there is often not meeting these three criteria. So people miss the fact that they've grown up. They miss the turn into adulthood oftentimes because there's no ritual to really signify it, that they own, that they create, that they claim, that they make meaning of, and that they make memorable. So we've got tons and tons, a whole planet full of adults walking around feeling like kids or adolescents because they didn't have that ritual to mark the change. So yeah, I feel you. You guys are getting it. We're going deeper. This is deep esoteric stuff. So that's why we're spending the whole month exploring it. I also, one of the things that I've realized, one of my coaches actually modeled this for me. And so I've been thinking about it, that I had one of my coaches told me over dinner, we went out to dinner. We're also kind of friends. And so we went out to dinner and he was like, yeah, I'm celebrating a pay in full. And I was like, I never really thought to do that. Like, he just talked about it. That was his ritual, was just to share with me that he was proud and excited about it for himself and for his client. And so ever since then, I've been like, oh yeah, like this is a big deal. Anytime someone pays in full for a coaching contract, I want to make that a really big deal because it is a really big deal. And if we don't, it's just so easy for that to kind of fall by the wayside and feel like, oh yeah, that thing happened and now I'm on to the next thing. And it's like, you know, you got to go on to the next thing, but there's a lot of nectar. There's a lot of fuel to gather from those big experiences. So what's next? Okay. I want to just plant the seed for the direction that we're going this month. Next week, we're going to talk about more daily and hourly rituals for claiming your power, in particular as it connects to creation. So we'll look at almost the micro ritual that happens when you are in the mode of creation, which is unconsciously or consciously, it's happening all the time, but we'll look at conscious creation. And then the week after, on 12/18, we'll talk about our celebration of 2019, and I'll actually guide you guys through the rite of passage that I like to use to close out the year. It's a really potent, simple, repeatable process that I invite you guys to own for yourself and add to, but I'll guide you through it together. So that one you'll want to come with like paper and markers, whatever kind of creative tools you want to use. And then the following Wednesday is actually, I think it's on Christmas, so we push that back a little bit. So the final live of the year is going to be on 12/29, and we're going to talk about initiation. And I'm going to share a ritual with you that will support you in moving into the new year and the new decade to set yourself up for true and lasting transformation. So this is just a seed for the direction that we're going. I want you guys to think about ceremony this week. Just notice, where is there ceremony already embedded in your life, in your business? Where could there be more ceremony? Where would you enjoy more ceremony? And give yourself one experience. It can be really tiny, but create one ceremony for yourself. It could be your going to bed ceremony. It could be your celebration of the end of the week ceremony. It could, whatever excites you. Choose one thing, create a ceremony about it, and then share with me in the comments of this video what you did and how it went. Like what did you like about it? What did you get from it? I'm really, really excited to go into this with you. It's super fun being here with you guys. Let me just see if there are any other questions before we. Yes. Tanya, absolutely. Trained helplessness as a cultural model is what we're up against. I totally agree with you. And I also want to advocate for you guys telling a positive story. So like, we're living in an amazing world and there's all kinds of ritual and ceremony to learn from. It's not most of it American in nature, but even in, like weddings are not a bad reference point. So I'm using that a lot in my own thinking about ceremony, what makes a good ceremony. So assume that whatever trained helplessness we have, there is equally empowered resource in all of us. And everyone is negotiating that. Everyone is leaning into their own growth. Yes. Beautiful. You guys are awesome. Okay, so just to recap, you're going to make a ceremony this week. Little, big, doesn't matter. You're going to make that ceremony awesome because you're going to create it. You're going to craft it. You're going to bring in the elements that matter to you. You're going to make it meaningful to you. So you don't need to bring in crystals if crystals don't matter to you. If this crystal doesn't have any value to you personally, it's not relevant in your ceremony. It might be that this is a little sacrilegious, but it might be that your cell phone is like the most precious thing to you, and then that belongs in the ceremony. Maybe it's a journal that you brought with you to India 10 years ago, right? Like your favorite mug. It could be really, really simple, okay? Maybe it's the lipstick that you wear. Like, trust yourself. Let the meaning that you bring be sincere for you, and then make it memorable. And I'm going to suggest for now, just to keep it simple, make the memorable thing something physical, like an item, an object that you associate with that ritual or that ceremony that reminds you that it happened. I love this last comment. Yes. This is about integration. The whole theme of December is integrating ceremony, not just ceremony, but integrating ceremony. So bringing the sacred into your business, bringing the business into the sacred, right? That's the whole jam. Reading Tanya's question, my support system is imperative. What do you say about how many pieces or actions ought to be in a first-time ritual? Oh my gosh, have fun. I mean, I like to keep it simple because then you can feel how little goes a long way. And so I'll just describe again, the ritual that inspired this whole theme happened because my two clients wanted to just create a covenant for their business relationship. They are business partners and friends. They're not lovers. They're not getting married. They're not even committed for life in this business, but they wanted to mark, we're serious about this, and here's how we're going to show up. And so they crafted these vows that they wrote to one another, and then I had them say them to each other. And they brought a crystal that felt meaningful to them, and they put it in this box. And then we walked out to the beach so they could like touch the water. That was kind of my idea, but they liked it. And I had them read their vows to one another back and forth. And then we just did a little meditation before and after that I guided them through. And then we were done. I mean, the whole thing took like 20 minutes. It wasn't, and most of that time was just walking, and I just kind of guided it. So the elements in that were the vows, the words that they said to each other, the physical object that they wanted to leave on my altar, and frankly, me. I was a big part of that ritual, not even because of my energy and my contribution, although that I did bring that, but just because I was another person outside of them. So some rituals really benefit from that. Some you don't need another person, but just like play with that, Tanya. Does that help? Really, really good questions. Really, really fun topic. I'm super excited to deepen our understanding of ceremonies so that when we get into our New Year's, New Decade's ceremony, that you have this underlying context. So it's not just a one-time thing like, oh, now we're doing that turn of the year thing, but that you're really like, oh yeah, this is embedded in how I approach my life. This is just a particularly fun or big or universally celebrated moment, but I own this. I'm not being like driven by the masses around New Year's Eve. This is my ceremony. This is my time. So it's a really, really big time for everyone. I do believe that. I think that 2020 is the beginning of something quite significant. And so let's mark it. Let's make it as significant as we want it to be. And let's use this week and next and this whole month to kind of prepare ourselves. So this week, try a simple ceremony, have fun with it, and share with me what happens. And we'll meet here again next week.